It's Enrico Pallazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Pallazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Just a little slow on the draw. This is not your typical Michael Bouvier-led produced podcast here, folks, because you can see there are 2 of us here, and that is your man, Robbie Baseball, and then myself, Big Gentle Ben. And Robbie, big news this week that just dropped today is the Futures Game roster already. So we can hop right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, Ben. I was very happy to be popping on the Insta thread today, and I saw it pop up, and they had the nice pictures of everybody and their team association. I was like, good on them. And they had only done one side or one league at the time. And I thought, I wonder if that's like this is today and then blah, blah, blah tomorrow. And I think I came back 90 minutes later and the other one had been posted. Yeah, it's always a talented list here.
I'll put this up for everyone to look.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, then you're looking at what we're looking at here.
And the American League pitching, I can't unfortunately make this a whole lot bigger without on my own screen. But highlights of the American League pitching is probably, I would say probably 2 or 3 new guys to the scene. Gage Jump. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget how to say his last name. Gerangelo Cinche. Sure. We're going to have to say that name later tonight. So, yeah.
Yes, we will be.
Trey Savage. So, Trey Savage, those 3 are definitely the guys to watch in the American League. I am really looking forward to seeing Jump against some top-level competition.
I hope he gets some strong bats here. Other names of note: Noah Schultz with the White Sox, Parker Messick with Cleveland, Keegan Gillies with Baltimore.
That's one
that's a 6 ERA future.
You
mentioned him in the offseason, but George Clausen is in. He's coming from the Trash Pandas, part of the Angels organization. He'll be on the mound too.
Maybe a little too literal.
Yeah, Brody Hopkins is kind of a surprise-ish one. Frank Mazzucato with KC, and then I had to look up Santa here, Almber Santa with Houston.
Yeah,
which that's a closer. No, is he the closer? Wait, who's the guy? No, maybe it's the NL.
A lot of pitchers options with the Astros, and they went with one that was basically off the board. So. There's always 1 or 2 of these guys on the Futures Game rosters that you're just kind of like, well, okay, well, I guess it'll be good to see him. But you don't say that about their catchers. This is a really good trio of catchers. Harry Ford and Carter Johnson could be 2 of the best catchers still in the minor leagues. Mm-hmm. And then you got Jose Briceño, who we know is at least hitting. He may not be a catcher long-term with the glove, but right now he still is.
Stack Detroit back end, or I guess behind the plate that they've got for sure. Yeah, it's a good-looking crew. KC, Detroit, Seattle, right? Did you say Carter Jensen, or did you mention all 3, right? Yeah.
Yep. He and Ford. And then you get on the infield, I think we're going to mention him here in about 2 seconds. Kalen Culpepper, which is another draft pick from last year, so that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And same with Tommy White, another draft pick from last year. Sebastian Walcott is one. Yeah, yep. Sebastian Walcott is someone that a lot of people should be taking the time to watch, because this is potentially your number 1 prospect in the offseason. Now, the production hasn't been amazing this year, but he's also at AA at 19.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 19 all year long at 19. So, and then the other infielder, CJ Kafis with the Guardians, George Lombard Jr. with the Yankees, Bryce Matthews with Houston, and Kevin McGonigal of Detroit. No, now you got me doing it.
You don't want to get the player pronunciation yips. Like I've gotten. Did you
Oh,
say
man.
CJ Kefis with Cleveland already? Or am I
Yep.
jumping? I've lost my screen. I'm gonna have to exit and come back at some point, but I'm gonna wait until you're lining up with some other stuff before I do that. As anyone who's watched has noticed, I've went dark mega.
Yeah.
Or
There you
dark Pallazzo, is that what it would be? The outfield in this one to me is interesting here. They've got White Sox Braden Montgomery, Baltimore's Enrique Bradfield Jr. The answer or no password, right?
Password. Yep.
Just Nixon Garcia, and then Detroit's Max Clark and Seattle's Lorenzo Montez. It's star-studded, obviously. Of course, it's going to be. The other thing I did notice in looking at the pictures of all these players, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these players. I think 7 of the players are wearing underneath their hat, which I don't have the visual for anybody, not that they care. They've got bandanas or some headband of some sort underneath the hat. I feel like that's just a new trend of sorts that has happened here in minor league baseball, but I don't know if it gets knocked out of them and only a couple all the way up end up doing it. But I haven't looked at a minor league bench, on a warm day, unless these pictures were taken when they all, had their long off-season hair, and they haven't updated the photos I'm looking at here. This is from MLB.com, from their Instagram account where I'm looking at the moment.
So the coaching staff is interesting. Now, this is, the game is in Atlanta, and usually you see some pretty heavy influence from the local team, but Marquise Grissom is the manager, and we're going to get back to him. Jerry Manuel, who was a player with Atlanta back in the day, I believe. Then Fred McGriff, Marvin Freeman, Johnny Estrada, Brian Hunter, Dale Murphy, Ryan Klesko. You got a pretty darn heavy coaching staff, and you'll see that even more so when we get to the National League side. But on that National League side, the top guy on the names, and I think it's just because of his last name, not necessarily because they want to promote him, is Marquise Grissom's son, Marquise Grissom Jr., who will be pitching for the National League team. Very interesting, to say the least.
I guess it's one of those nice baseball things that they can do at one point in time. Now, Grissom's not the only one. Andrew Painter of the Phillies will be there. Jackson Wiggins representing the Cubs. San Fran sending Carson Wisenhunt. That's a kind of an interesting one. The Braves have a pitcher named Hayden Harris. This is the closer that I was thinking of, Ben. This is the guy.
That I am amazed that he is there. But here's the other thing I'll tell you. In looking through these rosters, almost any time I had a question as to whether somebody should be there, almost always it was a guy who was born in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Which very well could be part of their doing, is they want to bring in local fans, and you get to play in front of mom and pa. That's kind of a cool deal. I think
Harris,
Travis Sakura.
I think Harris is a game finisher here. I think that's what, if I'm not mistaken, and that's also just to go back to talking about Houston with Santa. He does have games finished this year, 7, but he does have 1 save to his name. Not Elite K to 9. Harris' stat line's fine. Sorry, I interrupted. I just want to get the closers are represented here.
Yep. Harris has been kind of he's been a cohort closer, because nobody wants to ever trust a left-handed closer in the minor leagues. You can't do that. So he's been paired a lot of this season with another closer, and I think that's varied among a number of quad A arms that the Braves have had in the minors, because Lord knows they can't pitch once they get to the majors. So in the bullpen. J.R. Ritchie is the other Brave that will be a very interesting one to watch. Having a very nice year. Travis Sakura, which, if you are not familiar with Travis Sakura, you need to watch this. This guy, I don't know that I'm going on too much of a limb to say that I'm putting him in the top 3 pitching prospects in the game right now.
Oh yeah, you think he's really honed it in that much?
Has not. I will say that has not reached the majors, because there are still plenty of guys that still have rookie eligibility. Jacob Mizorowski, Chase Burns, those guys that they're in the majors now, but has not, for a pitcher that hasn't pitched at all in the major leagues. Sakura to me is one of those guys that there's not very many that are better, if there are any that are better.
Well, he's in competition with Miami's Thomas White and with the Mets' Jonah Tong, who are also going to be there. Tong, Canadian, obviously. Yeah, Jonah I was going to say Tong, obviously my favorite as a Canadian. I currently have a trade out. Maybe it was already rejected in a big 30-team league with using real money in the auction and all this stuff, where I'm trying to deal my Tanner Bybee and in exchange get back 2 solid pitching prospects plus someone else. And 2 of the 3 players are on this futures team, and one of them is Jonah Tong, and the other one is catcher for Cincinnati, Alfred Dunno, how you want me to pronounce it, but that'll work. And the nice thing with these catchers, Ben, this trio, all have short last names. Phillies Eduardo Tate, who we mentioned a couple of weeks back, as well as Miami's Joe Mack. These are 2 solid catching crops here. Both teams well represented here behind the plate.
Yep, and that has been an issue in the past in this game, because you see guys just kind of run wild because of that. But it would now, I'm not saying that these guys are going to go all out behind the plate, but
they're there. They want to show well.
Yeah. Yep. Infielders kind of lead off with another Georgia guy and Charlie Condon, but then, if you're going to say that Walcott could possibly be the number 1 prospect, Leo DeVries has got to be in that conversation as well. Even though, again, stat line isn't amazing, the talent level is extremely high here. Connor Griffin, Lou James, don't call me Gino Groover, Jesus Mate, Sal Stewart, and JJ Weatherholt. That's a really good infield. Now, what I think will be interesting, I don't know. There's a lot of guys on this infield that have been scouted that they will be leaving the infield, or leaving shortstop. I'm sorry, not leaving the infield, but leaving shortstop. I will be very interested to see who gets reps at short out of this group in the National League.
Okay. Yeah, I guess they'll have an approach as far as starting, but I guess when you're moving around, I mean, I'm kind of looking here and thinking, like, how do you round that infield out?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a natural second baseman in that group. Groover and Stewart are kind of naturally third baseman, and Condon's probably your first baseman.
That's what I was just going to say. Condon just promoted to Double-A also, but I'm sure, that's the move. You don't need him hanging out in the outfield. And maybe there's one of these outfielders here that might move in. Naturally, the Dodgers are well represented here. Zahir Hope and Jose De Paula in that outfield. Owen Cases with the Cubbies. Carson,
another Canadian.
Yeah, that's right. We're there, baby. Carson Benji, is that right, with the Mets? Slade Caldwell,
also recently promoted
as well. Yeah, and as Mirlin Valdez with the Pirates round out. So everybody's got somebody here. Of course they do, but everybody's got somebody here you want to watch in this game. Is there anybody in particular you're going to be having eyes on that you want to see? I mean, you mentioned the pitching already as to who they're going to pitchers are matched up against. I'm looking forward to seeing Condon.
Yeah, I want to see how he does. He has been contact over power this year. Now that he's back up and doing well, whatever he did got his contact bat right, but he's still not putting balls out of the park. I am really interested in seeing like Jesus Mate and Leo DeVries take on some of these high velocity type of arms, because the big difference to me for these guys, they're facing, I mean, look at this American League pitching staff. Almost every one of these is upper minors. The only one who isn't is Sinte. And he's a college guy who can pitch to you from both sides of the, both sides. So That's experienced arms going against teenage hitters. That to me will be very interesting to watch. But I am eager to see. I've not watched enough of him yet of Slade Caldwell. Really liked the video I saw of him over the offseason and kind of fell in love with him as a prospect. So let's hope that it's just as good. The coaching staff here. This is where I was talking about more Braves influence. Chipper Jones managing. Mark DeRosa is his bench coach. Andrew Jones is the hitting coach. Tim Hudson pitching coach. Pete Moylan as the bullpen coach. Kanoke Teixeira, and if you're not familiar with that name, he was a pitcher in the Braves organization for a long time that got into coaching and actually got into coaching and got into he was a minor league manager for quite a while. Teixeira was in the Braves system. Tyler Flowers and Nick Markakis. So a lot of Braves connections there in your coaching staffs on both teams. So
yeah, they're doing that part right for sure of representing.
Yeah. Now, if only they can get Ronald Acuna Jr. into the starting lineup, that would really help.
Goodness.
So,
well, there are lots of people that you want him to be in the game. There are others who have debuted in real baseball, but before we get to that, now there's someone from X here who I don't see a name. It looks like they're a frying pan, and this isn't the show for would you trade this or that, but we're going to do it because you're here and we appreciate you. Should I trade Abbott and Jared Duran for Spencer Strider in 10-team category league? Yeah, obviously. It's a 10-team.
Yep, 10-team. You can replace a guy a whole lot easier, and especially I really like Duran, but and Abbott, I keep feeling like there's gonna be where just the next start is gonna be the one where he gets blown up for 4 home runs. You know, it just feels like that every time he goes out that he is looping slow looping curveballs and just okay pitching, fastballs. You're just like, yeah, this is about to get pounded, and especially at Great American Ballpark. And he hasn't yet.
But in a 10-teamer, fried egg, that's what I'm going to call you, X user, because it's a frying pan with an egg, and you're definitely frying an egg. That's what's going to happen at some point to Abbott. And you can always find somebody who's had 2 good starts that is in your league and available, that is looking like they've got 2 or 3 good lineups. We always help you out with that when we get to the Jesus Take the Wheel pick, which we'll be doing shortly. But we'll get back on track here. Ben, some debuts. We've seen Chase Burns. We've seen Yanquiel Fernandez.
We'll see Yanquiel Fernandez, and another one that we get to.
Oh, sorry, they're up, but it's Monday night. So depending on when you're viewing this, they may have debuted. If not, we are visionaries and can see the future. Paul Gervais, a 6'10" beast. Wilken Gonzalez, Jack Perkins, Joe Rock, and Colby Thomas. Any one of those you're extra interested in? Obviously, Fuentes.
Yes and no. I mean, Fuentes is the youngest player in the majors right now. That's kind of interesting. For me, I've been a huge Colby Thomas fan for a number of years now, and I'm really excited for him to get the call up. My concern is this is a guy who is excellent power speed, but a lot of swing and miss. So you could be looking at there could be some heavy times of not giving you anything, and then he'll just go on a bender where he carries your team for 2 weeks. I think there's better days ahead for him once he gets to the majors and gets himself established and used to all everything involved. But for right now, it's going to be tough for me to start him on a daily league. Weekly, if you're just going to set him and go, if it happens, it happens, great. I'm going to get the 2 home run game and the 4 strikeout game in the same week. Trying to pick out which one of that is going to happen in a daily league, though, is going to be a little bit more interesting.
And the note that I see that was written on fantrax.com, not a sponsor tonight, is that Mark Kotze, the A's manager, has said that he is primarily looking at Thomas to be a pinch hitter against lefties, which means he's not necessarily going to be out in the field. he will be
Yeah,
looked
which
at
is
later in the
weird.
game. Yeah. But that's at
'Cause
least the
he is a
stated.
good athlete. That's the really crazy part. I'm not saying he's an excellent defender, but he's a good enough athlete to where
That he could play.
you should be able to work with that. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's
Um,
like a Will Benson situation here. Like you were saying, he gets
no.
hot and all of a sudden you wanna roster the guy, or sorry, start the guy and have him in. Kobe Mayo, I do want to just quickly say, as far as not debuted, but somebody who has debuted several times, so to speak, looks like he's settling in. Now he's a first baseman, which is interesting for the fantasy leagues that I roster him in.
Mhm.
But I'm happy to see that he is at least, he did get a home run. Mind you, it was off of a pitcher, but hey, when they don't ask how, they ask how many, right? I think it's just good to see that he's stabilized himself a little bit here, batting, I think it was almost 300 he hit last week, but just being in the lineup, being effective, getting some runs, RBIs, etc. So good to see he's settled. Ben, there have been lots of promotions. So
Yep. First half of the minor league season is done, and
Mhm.
you start to see a ton of these come because they
Oh yeah, and
okay, they've been
the playoffs, right? If you were
yeah.
leading in your division, you are automatically in the playoffs or top in your league, whatever it was.
Yep.
And I love that because it allows those teams to make roster moves, knowing it does not erode the potential for them to have either a strong second half or make the postseason. They're in. They're
Mhm.
in. If you
Yeah.
kept that roster together, now you can go ahead and make some shifts because
Yep.
your minor league team is being rewarded or will be rewarded. I love that idea. So anyway, sorry.
So we just a whole host of them, and these are just the guys that I thought were at least interesting. Um, I going through every day, there's probably 10 to 15 of these right now for the last couple of weeks, which is, guys who the line is so and so assigned from here to here, and it's
Mhm.
a step up. You notice, like, hey, that guy's never been at that level, so this is a promotion that's of interest. Michael Arroyo with Seattle has been just a stud this year. He's up to Double A. Carson Bengi that we were talking about, he's up to Double A. Cam Collier, remember him? Once upon a
Yeah.
time, you were going to be a future stud with Cincinnati. He's up to Double A. Kalen Culpepper's up to Double A. David Davalillo of Texas is up to Double A. Yoiker Fajardo, Yhoiker Fajardo, Fajardo, is a name you should get to know coming out of
Mhm.
complex in the Boston system, going to low A. I put that on there specifically because he's got some wicked looking stuff. Greg Farone with the Giants is up to A ball or high A. Devin Fitzgerald with Texas is another one who's up to A ball finally now, and that's or up to A ball, not finally, but high tools draft pick. Alvin Guzman was once upon a time an outfield prospect with the Diamondbacks, and he is converting to pitcher and has now come out of complex and is going to full season ball as a pitcher. So that's interesting, at least to me. Tyson Harden with Milwaukee up to Double A. Tommy Hawk, Mr. Stolen Base, is up to high A with Cleveland. Daviel Hurtado, another big time international pitcher name to know with the Mets, is up to or is in single A. Ryan Jackson with San Diego's up to high A. Spencer Jones, finally, after I think a decade, is now up to triple A. He's been at Double A since I believe he was in Double A in the Clinton administration.
Oh, geez.
Tanner McDougal is up to Double A. Mason Molina with Texas is up to high A. And Lazaro Montes is a big one, outfielder who is up to Double A. Jacob Reimer, who's kind of really clicked this year for the Mets, is now up to Double A. I believe he even started at Single A to start the year. I think this is his second promotion already. Noah Schultz up to Triple A. Cameron Cisneros, which is a name just to know, with the Cubs up to high A. Travis Sakura got up to Double A. Peyton Tolley is up to Double-A. Alonzo Treadwell, who the Astros drafted, 6'8" kid, he just big old kid, had very little experience before he got brought up or got drafted, is finally healthy, and he's up to High A. He has had a few years of injury-riddled stuff. And then last but not least, Ryan Waldschmidt, outfielder from Arizona, is up to Double-A. And so, yeah, it's very, very interesting to look at this list. And like I said, I'm leaving off a ton of guys that are probably of lesser interest. I just wanted to mention those names because they're probably all guys you at least should know at some point for your fantasy league, regardless of depth. Some of these guys are a lot deeper plays, but a lot of these guys you're going to need to, if you don't own them now in a dynasty league, a lot of these guys you aren't going to, but they're making their owners happy by getting one step closer to the majors.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned about Treadwell, being healthy is an important factor in that. Treadwell last year had a combined 57 innings, or not combined, a total 57 innings. Right now he's sitting at 56 through A and up to High A, where he did have 8 innings now, but healthy. That's what you want to see from some of these guys, to see them log it. So he's about to get into professional high and as well career high, not counting any high school time he had. So he'll be a good one here. Ben, Brock Wilken of the Brew Crew hurt himself celebrating. Yeah,
he had a walk-off home run, and honestly, the second I watched this video, the first thing I thought of was Kendrys Morales. Years ago with the Angels. The injury is fortunately not that bad. Wilken may even be able to return at the very end of this year, although it's a little bit questionable whether they're going to want to push him to do that or just, maybe send him to Arizona Fall League. By the way, First Pitch Arizona, you can now reserve your spots. So if you want to come down and you want to listen, we're really going to try to make sure we are one of the folks doing a podcast down there. You want to get there so you can hear all of us be complete and total idiots. So and I will say, it's one of the things that we do with Pallazzo where Sam is kind of in charge, and Sam really does a great job with these live podcasts down in Arizona. So
yeah, if I can figure out how to purchase a old vehicle, I might be there, and in between fixing it for the drive home, I'll pop in to say hello. Somebody who won't be popping into the Red Sox clubhouse soon, Christian Campbell demoted. A promotion that we didn't state, and I don't know if tonight's the night for it or not, but we should maybe tab up some Kyle Harrison talk with the Red Sox maybe for next week. We'll see how the rest of the week goes, because he was called up after it was stated, we're going to send him down and we're going to work on this and we're going to exactly what you said, right? He's a 2-pitch pitcher,
yada, yada, yada.
And boom, 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 he comes up and just gets ripped on the weekend. And if you don't think the stat line was bad, just watch a recap of how it went for him. It was not pleasant. But anyway, Christian Campbell also demoted. That's what the topic of this little segment is. Sure. Go for it, Red Sox. We're not sure what Boston's doing. Are they trying to win? Are they trying to put guys out there like Abraham Toro to get him as much playing time as they can as trade bait? What is the plan in Boston? We don't know. But they've got 9 pitchers they could be rolling out at any given time. And I'm very confused. Do you think, is there something specific they're looking to do here with Campbell?
I think, honestly, with Anthony up, with Wilyer Abreu back, with Abraham Toro actually playing fairly well at first base, I think it's just a matter of we don't have anywhere to play you and give you consistent bats. And right now, I think that they are on the cusp of being a seller. Yeah. And it's very likely they're sending him down, get consistent at bats. We're going to stick everything we can into not being a seller. And if that doesn't work, I guess you're back up after the end of July and we'll just roll with what we have. And If they trade off a few pieces, obviously he's got the room, but otherwise, no. And I watched the video for this next thing on here today, which was awesome. For those who don't know, John Oliver, who hosts a show on HBO Max, however you want to call it, he did a segment on the minor leagues and on crazy promotions that minor league teams do and all these things. But he was a little concerned with how vanilla some of the names are in the minor leagues.
Or irrelevant to their name, to their location. That was the other one.
And so he wanted to do something that he put it out there that if a minor league team wanted to get a hold of him, they had to give him total control, but he would do a rebrand for them. And I don't remember the number that reached out to him, but it was something in the range of almost a quarter of all minor league teams. Yeah.
Anyone whose owner is cool would have reached out. Because I experienced it last year, Ben, with the supper clubbers, which is actually the sky carp, which that name alone is hilarious to call essentially a wasted fish in a carp, because they're not treasured in North America because they've been invasive. But they named the Marlins high A team as the sky carp, and it's a goose. It's Canadian goose, baby. I got one tattooed on my back here. But they did the supper clubbers as a one-night thing. It went over well. Now they got a beautiful little like bourbon cup as their hat logo for that night. They've redone it since. Yeah. But what I was getting at was minor league teams, they can take chances like this. They can let it go, and if it's well received, it comes right back. So anyway, sorry, please go back to, because I love this. I love this so much.
So he sent this out, and out of all of those, he took a look at Erie and said, I don't get the Seawolves thing, guys. Erie, Pennsylvania, I don't get it. So, especially the brand. Now, if you are familiar or not with Erie Seawolves, it looks like a wolf pirate.
Yes.
Which
I have a shirt upstairs. I should have got it. I should have brought it down. Yeah. But anyway,
I am not sure how. I am not sure how that logo relates to sea. But okay. And so he said he would do this, and they gave him the control, and this last week on his show, or which would have been last night actually on his show, he revealed their new logo that they will be playing under, the Erie Moon Mammoths.
Amazing.
And which oh my gosh, the mascot is absolutely brilliant. Purple mammoth with an astronaut or like a moon on his head. But
space boots.
This is apparently, yes, in space boots.
Yeah, space.
But apparently he apparently went after this because there was some mammoth that was found in Lake Erie or in waterway near Erie. Anyway, it was found deeply by this guy whose last name is Moon. And so now it's on display in this museum or whatever. It's kind of a big deal in that town. And so it actually relates to Erie. But it'll be very interesting to see. I am excited, honestly, to see how this goes over. But the one thing that they did not exactly figure out in all of this is how it is that, or how long it will be, or how frequently, or whatever. They are for sure doing one game, and it's going to be over. Oh gosh, what was it? The
like
Oyster.
Mid-July. It's mid-July against the Red Sox. Oh my goodness, Red Sox AA. Is it Red Sox AA?
The Greenville is it? No, not Greenville. It's
I just had it up.
Oh gosh,
and
Portland.
Got rid of it. I did just share the logo for anybody.
Isn't that Portland? Portland, Maine. Isn't that their AA?
I don't know.
Anyway, but it they did a
they won't be in
rebrand.
that league. I'm just looking it up. I
League,
know I saw. Is it Akron Rubber Ducks? No, that's tomorrow night. Sorry.
No.
Well, we'll keep stumbling through this. I'll find the schedule here. Either way, they're going to do it once. Obviously, it's going to be a smash hit, and they're going to sell a couple thousand hats because the logo
especially
is just
since
like perfect minor
the
league
team
baseball.
that they mentioned is like had done an oyster re.
Oh, that's right.
brand.
That's right.
And
They did it. Yes.
Didn't look like an oyster. Let's just put it that way. The pearl was in a very distinct spot. And so, yeah, anyway, it's like the 19th or something of July, I believe is what it. So,
Cheapskate. Oh, Chesapeake.
Chesapeake.
Sorry, Cheapskate.
Yeah.
Jeez, I can't even.
Cheapskate.
Yeah, that's Moon Mammoths night is Saturday, July 19th. Oh my God, I want to go so bad.
Yeah. If you have the ability and you are local, this is something that should be on your agenda.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be an event because the show's going to be there to film things and all.
Yes.
But again, this is like prime minor league baseball. I know this isn't about the players. You can go watch the quality players on both squads here. But yeah, it's
Erie's
so good
got
for
a
minor
real
league
good
baseball.
club.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Is right now, it wouldn't surprise me if by July 19th, that's where you're seeing Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal. So
yeah,
very well could be
McGonigal's already there, I think,
out.
isn't he? We talked about him before. No,
that's a good question. I don't think so.
Okay,
I think he got up to high. I think he went back to high A after his injury. But regardless, Max Anderson, who's been a stud this year, I think is in Erie right now. He actually, yeah, that's who it was. Max Anderson just got pushed up to Erie, and so that opened up more infield space for McGonigal to play in West Michigan. And yeah, that's going to be interesting. I did love the call out that John Oliver did. They tried to interview players and say, so what do you know about John Oliver? And none of them knew who he was. And he says, well, I found that a little offensive and started naming off each one of the players in the video.
Yeah. Which is just, I mean, that's what they do on the show, right? So it was good.
Yes,
but yeah, the whole
absolutely.
thing, great promotion for Erie and minor league baseball. And hopefully it'll continue. I don't know when they do their last week tonight series, they end their season or whatever. I don't know when that season finale is, but hopefully they'll be able to get all this through. Because yeah, it was great. So anyway, that's enough of the fun of minor league baseball. Let's get to some work with our fantasy guys and girls out there who are looking for a little advantage on the mound. You've come to the right place. This is our Jesus take the wheel pick here. Insert your own theme because we're not allowed to play ours. Wrapping up, Mitch Spence had 2 of 3 serviceable starts, I will say. And I did pick him on June 10th. So he's had 4 starts since then. We count the next 3 after the pick is made. 2 of the 3 were good. 1, he got knocked around a little bit. And that was him returning to the rotation with the A's. Stephen Kolek was the guy that I picked last week. And I got to very quickly pull him up here because I just had it. And I'm really good at closing all of my files out because my computer doesn't like me right now for some reason. So Kolek, of course, went up against the Dodgers, who I said I wasn't a big fan of that one, but I was willing to do it. 6 1/3 innings in that one. And what was that? 97 pitches. Since then, he took a loss against Washington, got knocked around a bit in that 4 1/3, 5 runs, then stabilized the last one at Cincinnati, which was, I believe, the one I thought this might not work out too well. 5 2/3. So 2 of the 3, the one that I thought he could have kind of cruised in was the one that he struggled with. So 2 out of 3 there, 71 pitches in that last outing. So if you're thinking 2 out of 3 ain't bad, well, giddy up, partner, because it is time to circle the wagons and join the Stroh Show. That's right, everybody. I am going to the wiliest of wily veterans. Marcus Stroman is who I'm going to. Pitched. He's back, obviously. Nobody likes him, including, I think, his teammates and the organization that he plays for and pays him. But he's going to take on...
he might not even like himself too much.
He might not. Yeah, that's true. But he is a true gamer. He loves to compete. And that's one of those things where, you can love him, hate him. This is a guy you want on your team. Maybe you don't want to play against him or buy his jersey, whatever. He's going to take on the Mets in his next matchup. And then I believe July 10th, it could be Seattle, or if they push it a day and he ends up on the 11th, it'll be against the Cubbies. And that'll be on Billy Joel bobblehead night, Ben. So that's a fun one. And then
he should get the Piano Man ready. So
and then his third start is a gift because he's taken on the AAA club known as the Atlanta Braves. So we're gonna follow this one just as we have Spence and Kolek.
Okay.
So Yeah, and the idea behind this, everybody, is you're in trouble. You need somebody either easy to acquire or sitting on your waiver wire. And if it's easy
Yep.
to acquire, meaning the trade is not going to be some overwhelming give, you're using this as ideally a springboard to be able to continue to either start the guy or stream moving forward. So just to wrap up on that one, and the main topic, Ben, we can now get to.
Do we want to do an ad first?
Break? Absolutely. Yeah, we're 40 minutes in. Let's do a break, and then let's stop and pop.
Since we're
with the main topic,
talking about the All-Star game in Atlanta, as we went through the futures rosters, I got to use this one.
How long are they going to worship this guy? Hey, we got Cy Young winners over here. Come on, Alice. Oh. Step into it. Feel bigger? Yeah.
Hi, Top.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Hey, have you guys seen Mark?
You guys seen Mark?
excellent.
Every time I could watch that over and over and over again. So, all right, tonight, our main topic, folks, we are talking about Western Division, the top prospect lineups. We did this for the East. We did this for the Central. And now we're going to close it out with the West. We took a little break and did our mock draft last week, which, by the way, thank you, all of you who've taken the time to watch that. Please tell your friends. We are looking to break the Pallazzo record for most views on a video, and we are really close already within a week. I would love to see us double that record. That would be really fun, and to just keep going, because that's a fun show for Robbie and I to do, but we do it so you guys can have reasoning behind the picks. Robbie, did you see Baseball America released a new mock draft today?
Oh, no, I went out of my way not to look at any of them. So no, I did not see that they have another one. Okay.
They released a new one today, and Kate Anderson went 1, so that matched with us. About half of the picks we had right team and player.
Oh.
Now, what I will say is multiple times we had right team and player, wrong pick. So like I had something where like the Royals picked a guy and Carlos had him going to their second pick, or vice versa.
Oh, okay.
You know, that I had him picking in the second pick and Carlos had him go in the first. So we had a number of those, but the reasoning behind our picks is right on line with what Carlos put, even if we didn't have the same guy, because sometimes in our mock a guy was available that wasn't in Mark or in Carlos's, or vice versa, and it was really neat to read that. So anyway, we're going to talk about West divisions. We're going to start with the National League West, and we're going to start with Robbie's favorite position.
Yeah, time to put on some accoutrement, some purple. I do have a Rockies hat, but it really hurts my head when I put on. So it's a kid's hat that's too big for my son. So I'll just do the purple bandana for tonight. But yeah, so we got Arizona, Colorado, the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants, of course. So we're taking the best prospects from their organizations, assigning, the finalists, so to speak, to their position. And then we are going to discuss which guy do we agree is the premier guy. And then we're developing the lineup from that. And we'll look back on this sometime in the fall, maybe after the season's over, and reflect upon like these things have stuck, or, whatever has occurred since then, an injury, trades, whatever. So let's start off with my favorite position in fantasy baseball. And obviously the one that all the teams out there, the fantasy minds know this is how you build a championship, from the catcher out.
Absolutely.
So Arizona preseason, this would have been my guy for the MLB. And I know others had doubts, and I said, I feel like the bat's going to play. Well, he got hurt, and it has worked out great for suppressing, not that they were doing that, he was hurt, but for him not pushing his way up. That's Adrian Del Castillo with Arizona. The Padres are bringing Brandon Valen. Oh my God. Why? This isn't even a hard one. It isn't. Valenzuela. Is that right?
Valenzuela.
Venezuela. I don't know. I don't understand. Brandon Valenzuela. I'm staring at it like you can do this. Anyway, the Dodgers are bringing Yenier Fernandez as their catcher. Now, we are, again, trying to get guys who have 0 to very little major league experience on this list as far as our team goes. Yeah, thank you, Jordan. The Rockies hat's too tight because of the altitude. I like that one. The Rockies are bringing 2 guys to the plate tonight, Cole Messina, as well as Drew Romo, who does have a little tea sandwich up there.
Okay, sorry. That's just,
what is it? Sorry?
The funky Cole Messina, the
funky
Cole
Messina. Yeah, I'm sure that's maybe his nickname is Funky. Players Weekend someday.
Got to do that.
San Fran's got Onil Perez as well as Drew Kavanaugh. So I think, to me, I think this is kind of like a 2-man kind of setup here. Like, I'm still in on Del Castillo, and I understand Romo was excellent last year until he got called up, and since that time he has been somewhat of a different player.
Yeah.
But I don't know that so much has gone wrong with Romo that I would give up on him. There was an entire year where, oh my goodness, Ramirez with the Guardians. Oh my goodness, third baseman. What the heck is his name? Ramirez.
Jose Ramirez. Yep.
Where he was like a horrible player for like after an All-Star break next year. I feel like this is a Drew Romo similarity here I'm hoping I should say. So I don't give up on Romo. But to me, Castillo's the guy.
The only one that I even considered with Del Castillo is Valenzuela, who has always been a really good defensive catcher, and this year has figured out power. But I still think this is a guy who's gonna, like, his ideal offensive production is like Miguel Olivo, where he's gonna hit 25 home runs with a 220 average down the road. And very weak contact skills, but very good defender. And if he's hitting for power, that at least plays. But yeah, Adrian Del Castillo, as long as he can stick behind the plate, the bat could actually be a legit fantasy bat. And so I think that's easily your guy here.
All right. Not that we don't love and respect the rest, but we are going to stick with the guy who we think can bring it. First base, unlike some of our other divisions, this is a good one.
This is a good one. Yeah, this was, I kept putting guys on and going, this ain't half. In fact, I wager to say that our back 3 would be in significant competition for most divisions so far. Like those guys, they don't have the name value yet, but those guys are producing at such a level to where they would have at least put their names into serious consideration in other divisions. But this division is pretty stinking deep. We're starting with Bryce Eldridge and Charlie Condon. Those are probably the 2 big prospect names. But Ivan Melendez it's been a slow progression, but he's really turning it on with the bat this year. Victor Figueroa with San Diego he's kind of been a revelation this year. He's young. He's still kind of lower level and still could become even more. Ryan Ward is a guy that the Dodgers just seem to stick in AAA, let him hit 25, 30 bombs a year, and he just keeps doing that. He's 27, 28 now. And then the last 3 that I mentioned, Aiden Longwell with Colorado, Romeo Sanabria, sounds like a good drink, with the Padres, and then Jacob Christian, who probably drinks that in the middle of church, with the Giants. So I don't think we're really talking about any of the back half of those guys. But
yeah, it's almost like a name recognition thing. I've been like, these guys, and then like you said, like the back half of this list here, that could be either overlooked, like Ward with the Dodgers, who there's always 8 or 9 of these minor league guys Hey, Mike, 8 or 9 of these minor league guys who I love to hope on. Cooper Hummel's another one who, traveled around. He's back up now. I can't remember what team, if it's Houston or what, but he was a guy with Arizona who I'm like, this guy's excellent OBP, good contact, blah, blah, blah. And then he rode the MLB, up and down ladder a few times, switched organizations. Ward's a similar dude. Looks good, but we haven't got to, see that significant time come up for him. So anyway, here, Eldridge to me is the choice that the prospecty person's going to want to make. But, and I love Eldridge. I've got shares of him. I'm excited for him, but I feel like Condon was the guy that at the draft last year, I was already saying people are going to hype him up to be the fantasy 1-1 if he hits when he gets drafted and assigned. And he did not hit after he went to Colorado.
Yep.
And I think that he's almost like a sleeper pick now moving into AA. And I really kind of like the idea of Condon being at the end of the season. Nothing against Eldridge. I like the idea of Condon being the like, oh yeah, that's the guy.
So if Charlie Condon goes to Colorado and rather than a, 40 home run guy turns into what, let's say Michael Kadire was while he was in Colorado. Kadire won a batting title, was consistently one of the best hitters in the league in Colorado. Do you think anyone's really going to complain that owns him in fantasy if he's hitting 330 with 20 bombs instead of 280 with 40?
Well, that's the trade-off. If you've got average, you don't need power.
Yeah. It is so rare to find good average anymore. I mean, look at how empty the line of Luis Arias is. And yet
I was just going to use him as the example.
We all own him.
Yeah.
Because you need that batting average so bad.
And it used to be, I mean,
so,
I'm sure
I agree.
A lot of people. Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
And I think for pure prospect, I want Eldridge just because there's so much more upside. But I think that bat in that stadium, like I said, I think that since he's come back, Condon has really shown excellent contact skills. And that, to me, that excellent contact skills going into Colorado is going to play very, very well. So,
yeah, I mean, we've seen Sean Bouchard and you name the guy who's been able to come up and kind of overachieve, if you will. So yeah, I like Condon there. And what I was just saying about the average thing was it used to be part of your draft was you would go for the power guys and the average guys, but it wasn't empty average. Luis Arias has been that empty type average guy for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
I think he had one double-digit power, perhaps on it does. Regardless, he's been his whole thing is he allows you to have Aaron Judge in your lineup with a rough week. Ohtani's had the odd rough week this year, I think, because probably whenever he's back in LA and can't sleep because the kid, which again, that's something that I know people kind of discount as things, but I remember just Ty brought it up when we did the catcher dynasty catcher thing about Alejandro Kirk, and he talked also about Justin Turner. I think both had kids last year and had stretches where they were not effective while I guess kid was sorting out their sleep schedule. So anyway, so are we agreeing? We love both options here in Eldridge and Condon, but we're going to go with Condon because it's more fun.
Condon, I think, is a good one. Yeah, I mean, especially if we're thinking fantasy. So
yeah. Not that Eldridge can't light the world on fire, but we would love to see Charlie do it too. So, okay. So second base, we got Arizona's Tommy
Troy. Arizona's
position. Arizona's JD Dix, Arizona's Dimitri Kristan. Oh my gosh. Chrysantis. Yes. We've got the Dodgers, Elias Handline. We've got San Fran's Dario Reynoso. We've got San Francisco's Xander Darby. And I mean, I looked. There is not a worthy Rocky to put at second base.
No.
Because they're at all the skill positions.
Or San Diego, either one.
Right.
San Diego, or I mean, they're both. And even the Dodgers. Dodgers are kind of loaded at every position we're going to talk about here, except this. This.
And I mean,
this is their bad position.
They also, though, for the Dodgers, they have a ton of major league guys making major league money, and that allows them.
And the Dodgers have a crap ton of shortstops that are going to play some second base. That's just how that works. But so, now that we've named those guys off, I'm going to interrupt and I'm going to bring this just before we get into finishing that position. Carson Williams of Tampa Bay or Charlie Condon, who's the better fantasy player. And I will tell you, that one to me is a very easy one because fantasy-wise, Condon all day. Carson Williams is an elite defender. He's going to be on the field, but he's also a guy that very well could hit you. He could make Anthony Volpe's line look pretty good. And at the plate. And that's Yankees fans want Anthony Volpe sent to the moon. Well, I think Anthony Volpe is playing just fine, but guys in that's not what you want if you drafted Anthony Volpe on your fantasy team.
Oh, everybody drafted him as a stud. Yeah, like CJ Abrams comps with him as far as production or estimated production, and it's been well. A
9 homer, 9 steal, 228 average. Absolutely, I could see Carson Williams being a guy that gives you decent power, decent steals, and a 230 average. So
which again,
I would much rather have Rondon because you just can't find that kind of batting average, and he should be able to do that in a stadium that really helps you with that too.
I'm confident you just said Rondon instead of Condon.
Did I? Oh,
but I love it. I love it. Either way. So yeah, that's the guy. Go on the upside of Condon. Plus, don't believe in Tampa Bay to draft and develop. Again, I'll say it always and forever. They are a trade and finish. They are not necessarily a draft and develop. And that's how I feel. So anyway, what Arizona Diamondback should we put on this? Chrysanthus, I'm just not believing I can pronounce the name regularly. JD Dick sounds more like a bench guy to me. Tommy Troy's the choice, I think.
Yeah.
What do you say?
JD Dick sounds like that should be a porn name.
I'm sure it is.
But he's actually performing very well this year. Probably in the but Tommy Troy, after really struggling in his draft year and right away last year, turned it on to end the year, and he's just been this year's very solid. I mean, it's not like he's come out and hit 20 home runs in the first half or anything goofy like that. He's just been a very solid, steady player all year long in the upper minors. And that's the big deal for me is, I don't know.
He's got a good line. 287, 395, 444, Ben. That's solid.
Yeah.
8 home runs, 12 stolen bases, caught 3 times. Strikeout to walk ratio is beautiful. He's got 43 walks, 53 strikeouts. Regular playing time, obviously.
Nothing like holy crap jumps off the page, but all of those are good. It's all good. So yeah.
And the fall league was fine for him.
Troy. Yeah.
All right.
So let's
go
with Troy.
Boy, welcome aboard. All right, I'll start setting up the shortstop here because this one is I don't know. Let's talk about it.
There's a lot.
Leo DeVries with San Diego, Alex Freeland with the Dodgers, who was a big offseason. Everybody kind of got excited, and I mean, not that he's disappointed. Yanni Laval with San Fran, Kellen Lindsay with the Dodgers, Walker Martin with San Fran, Ryan Jackson with San Diego, Christopher Torrin with Arizona, Mau Ahuna with San Francisco, Emil Morales with the Dodgers, Cobb Hightower with San Diego, also your local fire department, Diego Velasquez with San Fran, Ashley Andujar with Colorado, I put him on here. It's not Ashley, it autocorrected. It's something else, but it's Ashley. You get the idea, guys. 17 years old. He's in rookie ball. He's hitting 300, and there wasn't a Rocky to name in the middle infield. This is a guy. Now we're done talking about him, but put him on your watch list just for fun. But anyway, so yeah, really, I think this one is kind of the first 3 guys. How's Walker Martin's year?
Yeah.
I haven't really followed him much, I gotta say.
He's not hitting much at all for average.
Okay.
It's one of those where he is kind of flashed a lot, where he'll have a really good 3-game stretch and you're like, ooh, okay, now he's finally figured it out. And he'll go on and strike out.
OBP's nice.
Good OBP, and he's showing power. I mean, 10 homers, 7 steals. Yep. But 76 strikeouts and 263 plate appearances. And
you're at A-ball. You should not. Yeah, you should not be in this position at A-ball. and you're of the age of the play, like you are average age, so you should be doing quite well. So, yeah, Cobb Hightower, amazing, right, Jordan?
That's a great name. That's an 80 grade name right there.
Yeah.
But,
now he's got to be from
skills
the
may
Midwest.
not, but
let me guess. Well, Govey's not here, so he's not from Michigan, but he would tell us.
Because they have another guy on here. He actually is not. He's from North Carolina.
Okay.
Which is interesting because Padres have another guy we're going to get into who is actually a South Dakota born boy, but not in this position. Alex Freeland could come up right now for a lot of teams and be a very capable utility infielder that plays 4 days a week or that starts 4 days a week. Plays second, third, short. He's just, I think there's just a high floor with him. DeVries and Level or Level or however you want to say it, both are international guys that are just, DeVries, everybody knows the raw talent. I don't know that as many people know Johnny Level and his talent, but my gosh, he's been very impressive this year. I had that pulled up and then I ended up looking up where Hightower's from. I was quickly looking at
Velasquez here. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Level is from Venezuela, so you know that Britain's going to be cheering for him to transfer to catcher. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
288, 381,
5'10". Oh,
he is in complex still. 288, 381, 500 with 7 homers and 11 steals in complex with almost a 1-to-1 walk to strikeout. The numbers have been really, really good. I want to see him get into full season ball, but still at 18,
but he's doing basically what he did in the DSL last year, which we usually see a quite significant transition. And for a lot of these guys, that's where they flatten out. So he hasn't done that.
Switch hitter, lots of room to grow more in that frame. I mean, 150 pounds dripping wet right now. The video I saw from him that,
I don't think he'll be able to switch to catcher. He's going to have to stay a shortstop. So I think Britain's going to be upset.
Poor Britton. He'll move.
I'm good with taking a flyer on old Yanni. If you want to make him our guy, we'll have to be a little.
That we're going to get crap for. We're going to get crap for not having DeVries or Freeland number one.
Yeah, but I'm anti San Diego, and as well with the Dodgers. Look at what the Dodgers have done with Kim. Now it looks like he might have some playing time now at second base, but he's been an elite hitter who hasn't been getting in the lineup despite being an elite hitter when he's been in the lineup. So I don't believe that the Dodgers are doing what's necessarily best for the player. Why would they? The team's first for them. But Leo DeVries with San Diego. San Diego has not bowled me over with the guys they've developed. They've obviously had young guys who have been studs, and maybe that's what he is, so he can avoid it. But I haven't seen them developing guys. Really
think of the studs that they have traded away, that they became the studs they became. There was hype on them when they left. James Wood, big hype on him when he left, and he fulfilled that. Mackenzie Gore, they didn't know what the frick to do with, and he's developed into one of the best starters in the National League with Washington. I'm trying to Jackson Merrill might be the one guy that they have developed, brought up through their system, and has turned into.
But he was quick, right, Ben? He was a very quick study for them, as opposed to he hit 4 levels, and he succeeded at 4 levels. It was more of he got up pretty quick with them. So, and maybe San Francisco's somewhat due. They haven't. Bryce Eldridge would be quite the coup for them as well, because he was a first-round pick.
Marco Luciano just makes me sad.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Is we've got Luciano who's not doing well at AAA right now. Somebody offered him to me in a trade last week, and I was looking. I'm like, are they considering him like an asset in this deal? I'm a little confused here, and I had to say to the guy, I'm like, hey, just so we're clear, he's a roster spot more than he is like a legitimate return in this, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? And this is the same guy who's like, he's one of those, all of my players are great. I don't even like your guy, but I'm going to try to trade him or I'm going to try to get him, right? Like, my players are the worst. Your players are the best. Ball. Anyway. So yeah. All right, let's do it. We're going to level up here. Yanni level. Okay. Hot corner. Lou James, Gino Grover with Arizona, Kyle Karros with Colorado, obviously. The Dodgers with Jake Geloff, Warming Burnable with Colorado, and Chase Harlan with the Dodgers. I mean, Karros is having a hell of a year.
I would say I really think this is between the top two guys. Yeah. Groover is a guy I loved coming out of college, and he's just, kind of like the Tommy Troy thing. Nothing jumps off the plate or jumps off the screen at you, but he's consistent. He hits well. Apparently he thought that calling him Gino was not so good, so he's gone back to his given name, which is Lou James. And between him and Karros is a really tight competition, I would say. They're both in the upper minors, I believe.
I'm going to quickly look. The defining factor for my vote, I'm going to set aside my Colorado bias, and I'm going to look at what their lines are here. Double A. So stolen bases, Karros has 5, Groover has 0. Home runs, Groover I think had 10. Is that right? Batting average, Karros is up 30 points on him. OBP, he's up on him. I know the park is better, I guess. Well, he's in Hartford. That's the one. I'm gonna say let's go with Groover, and it's so that I can continue to suppress Kyle Karros and acquire him in more and more dynasty leagues, knowing he is the true savior here in Colorado. So yeah,
what
I'm good with
for those that like Karros, one of my concerns coming into the year was the walk rate or the walk to strikeout rate, and it's almost 1-to-1 this year. That is taking a big step forward. That could be really fun. And he's a doubles machine, so getting that into Colorado, again, we might be talking about a guy who could hit for 320 average and may not hit you 30, but he'll hit you 15, 20 and get you, he's on getting 40 doubles out of that deal. That's going to score some runs. So we're sticking with
Colorado.
Groover.
Could just we're sticking with Groover, but we both like the idea of Karros here. And I mean, again, Colorado could use some solid hitting players who, are steady eddies. That's every lineup needs those guys. So if they've got a couple here in Condon and Karros on their way up, awesome. Let's see more of it. All right, let's
take a break and answer one question here.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think Nolan McLean comes up this season for the Mets. I believe McLean is recently promoted to AAA, if I'm remembering right. Like
49 and 2/3 innings into AAA, so he's been up for a bit. 45 Ks, 1.12 whip, on that one. 22 whacks.
Yeah, the stuff has been excellent. I don't think he's going to come up and strike out the world. That's not the type of pitcher he is anyway. But you're going to have even with the Mets defense issues every so often, you're going to have a significantly better defense behind you in the majors than you do in AAA. The issue the Mets have is they have a number of guys sitting in AAA right now that could be very useful for them.
And a trade deadline in which veterans tend to be picked up, not prospects promoted if you're in it.
Coming back. Frankie Montas just got back, and somebody spent almost $100 on him in Fab.
Oh, really?
I went, are you freaking nuts? But that's okay. Yeah. Oh, no, it was 78 or 79. Sorry. But still, 78 or 79 with no backup bid. Nobody else bid on him. You're like, those are always the ones you're like, oh, man.
So, but on answering this one, if I don't think McLean's on the 40 man, if he is, it obviously increases the odds, but I don't think he is.
No.
I kind of feel like this is he's up if it doesn't look good because they couldn't do something else and someone gets transferred to the 60-day to open it up. Because I don't know that you need to rush a 23 draft pickup who's pitching well when you've got Tidwell, you've got other guys that you could also. I mean, this is kind of Milwaukee-ish.
This is his very first full year being a pitcher only. He has been a two-way guy all the way up until this year. Last year, he was still hoping to bat. There was something early in the year that they didn't let him, and then he eventually became pitcher only. And so this is his, he's fully embraced pitcher only now. He's still really kind of learning the pitching side of things. So they might just say, we'd love to see it ball out in AAA for the rest of the year, and we can start making some decisions for 26 at that point.
Right.
Or
protect the player in this case.
The other end of things is ball out in AAA, and we really could use XYZ for the major league club, and you balling out in AAA is going to be a really nice asset for us in trade talks.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. And then we can always dream on the idea of come up in September in the bullpen. Right. If you're really going for it.
Robert followed up and said that he would love to see us do a podcast in March on potential rookie of the year candidates. What I will tell you is
you're in luck.
We do that. We did do that. And it was kind of our minor league opening day. I think we went through and talked about guys. And then the major league opening day one that the Pallazzo Bozo Fest, we also talked about that for a little while about who could be a potential rookie of the year. And I will tell you that my big guy from the beginning was Cole Young. He finally came up, made me feel good. And he's doing exactly what I thought he would, which is be a steady Eddie. But boy, it would have helped for him to have 2 months of steady Eddie ahead of this. Right. So I don't think he's got a chance to win the award at this point. But that's the type of stuff that we were talking about then. But all right, let's get back into the outfield. Outfield is a good deep position to go into here.
Yeah, you posted the guys up 1, 2, and then the 95 guys who could be our third outfielder. So I'm with you on Zahir Hope and Ryan Waldschmidt with Arizona and the Dodgers respectively. So we'll leave those two. So that is Zahir Hope and Ryan Waldschmidt.
Yeah, I think those two are a clear 1-2 in this outfield mix. And then from there, you can make a really good argument for quite a few guys as the number 3. I'm a big, I've said for a while now that I really like Caldwell. Mike Sirota is a guy I liked in college, and the trade to the Dodgers has really unleashed things for him. Jared Thomas, Colorado, just got promoted to AA. This could be a very good thing. But kind of Jared Thomas and Colby Thomas, very similar profiles. Lots of power, lots of speed, contact kind of goes in waves. And so far he's been riding a very good wave. We'll see now that he comes to kind of their one kind of hitter average park rather than hitter friendly park. Kind of a neutral, I guess is the best way to say that. But yeah, then, there's just a ton of guys. Eduardo Quintero, Jose De Paula, Sterling Thompson. Those guys have all been performing really well this year. Drew Jones is always there. Is kind of a guy who he's not blowing you away, but on offense, defense is really, really good. So yeah, there's a lot of good options in this division.
So I'll put forth my name here. I'm going to homer out with my Rocky. I'm going to say Jared Thomas. One of the factors that to me promotes him up for the fantasy aspect is stolen bases. I think he's got 22 right now. And this is a guy who was drafted. It was last year. He was a second round pick. I'm liking that. I'm liking him bringing that to the table. And again, any of these guys, Cole Carrig, Brendan Tunick with the Dodgers, Cale Fountain, Jared Elkins, Andy Polanco. There's a lot of guys.
South Dakota boy, by the way.
Oh, that Fountain's the one. Okay, yeah, that's the name suits. a lot of these guys could be in there.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
just kind of finding that little thing that makes it make sense, especially if you're building a fantasy roster and we're building a starting roster. So Thomas is going to help us with stolen bags. We got power with Del Castillo. Charlie Condon is giving us some average. Ideally, the power can develop as we go through. Tommy Troy, solid. Johnny Laval, we're taking a chance on here. Lou James, Gino Groover.
We've got huge power inside here, Hope. So, I mean, you can take that risk when you have a guy like Hope in your lineup. That guy's going to be nothing but power. So, anyway,
I wish I could. I'm not going to this summer, Ben, because my kids get knee surgery next week. But I wish I could get to go and see the Great Lakes Loons play.
Oh yeah.
Because I've got their hat somewhere too. I like that I don't have any of my minor league stuff down here anymore because I've been wearing it. But Hope only has 7 for the year, but his OBP is still over 400. Again, now 20-year-old kid. Like, I understand some people went real heavy on that.
DePaul is in that same outfield. God, wouldn't that be a fun lineup to watch?
So you watch. I'm trying to think of who you watch them play.
Skills.
Yeah,
that would be a fun. In fact, I should start watching them on video more because I have tuned in watching Hope against someone, and I just haven't really been paying as much attention. It's kind of one of those where I put the alert on and I put my ears on and I'm listening for Hope to come up, and I just not paying a whole lot of attention otherwise. So
are we going with Jared Thomas to hear Hope and Ryan Waldschmidt? Is that our outfield?
I think that's our outfield.
Let's get to that rotation because this is going to be a long podcast because we have, we had a lot to say. We've had a lot to say. We still have a lot to say. So we agree on the top 4 here. There's no argument for me on the starting rotation for the NL West, and you can put them in any order. Yeah, I mean, obviously you wrote this knowing that I was on with you tonight. Jackson Ferris, Cash Mayfield with the San Diego, who, for those who don't know, high school drafted pick last year, their first round pick. Started slow, meaning like not exposed a lot early, and now he's going out on a regular rotation. Sean Sullivan with Colorado, Carson Wisenhunt, and there are 20-ish names on here. I have previously been a Yumin Lin guy, but I have understood that much like when we talk about Houston pitching, they can fade when they rise in certain organizations, and Yumin Lin battling it out. I don't know that I like what I see continuing with him. Brody Breck with Colorado looks good. Jack Chiote with San Francisco, somebody that I had an eye on a couple years ago, and I've been watching. Now they're inching closer, right? There are these guys out there. Jagger Haynes with San Diego also was a Boston Bateman. That was the other one with San Diego. He was, I think, their second round pick last year. And I did mention him on a previous one. Eric Swan with the Dodgers, Peyton Martin with the Dodgers. Who's a guy for you, Ben, that this is the guy you want as the 5th starter here in this loaded lineup?
I put him up there as the kind of the lead on this.
Yeah.
And this was before he got selected for the Futures. Or no, he's not in the Futures game. Before I found out that he had got promoted, I had put him on this list. And he was recently promoted to High A. This would make it an all-lefty rotation, which is really kind of fun. But
all over 6'5" too, right?
Yeah. Well,
like Ferrone's a tall boy.
Is he? Okay.
He's 6'6". Yeah, he's 6'6", 240.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He's 6'6", 240. He is a big boy.
Yeah, I did not say his name because I saved him for you because I like him. Yep. I like the idea of this right here. 7th round pick last year. Totally under the radar guy.
And 56 innings, 80 strikeouts. And
thank you.
I wrote him up for my website, and it wasn't holy cow.
ChasingBaseballGreatness.com. What is it? ChasingBaseballGreatness.medium.com. I save it now, just so anytime you bring it up, we make sure we tell the people.
And of course, I'm going to be slow bringing this up like I want to. I was going to say the stuff doesn't overwhelm. That's where I was going with that. Like his raw stuff doesn't overwhelm, but he's coming from a 6'6" angle with it. And
I mean, I'm good with this one. I like it. One of the advantages here is this is our second guy who we're kind of taking a chance on early in their pro career. But this is a man. This is not a boy here, like our
he's
shortstop.
huge.
Our shortstop we're taking a chance on. We're building around him here. But he also is 0% drafted, rostered on Fantrax. So he is out there and should get some exposure based on like the results this season.
And I cannot believe that is. I keep seeing that and going, of course, I say this and I don't own him anywhere. So it's not like I'm going out and
a 7th round pick last year, Ben. That's commonplace to overlook, especially San Diego. They drafted high school, right? Here's a college guy that they got out of Alabama. What's his line here for the year? 370. So this includes A and now high A. One started high A. 370 ERA, 56 innings pitched, 80 Ks. I like to see, where was the walk thing? 26 walks. It's higher. Yeah. I'd like to see less, but a
little higher than you'd like. Yeah.
Yeah. In 13 starts for the year, 1.3 whip.
Low 90s fastball, low 80s breaker. He has more top end, but that he showed in college, he is actually, there is a whole crap ton of spin on his fastball. He kind of made the conscious choice to go for more spin, more induced vertical break on the fastball, and it made it more of a 92 instead of a 94 or 95, and it plays better, which is certainly what he's doing. Even if this guy eventually is a reliever, that's a really good reliever setup from 6'6" on the left-hand side. So
there we go. I just picked him up in one league, the only league I can pick up and keep prospect. I just put him on my London Rippers squad here in the RBI Fantasy League. It's a 20-teamer where you can pick up in season. That's it. That's the NL West. Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
So our lineup from top to bottom here: catcher, Adrian Del Castillo of Arizona; first base, Charlie Condon, Colorado; second base, Tommy Troy, Arizona; shortstop, Johnny Level, San Francisco; third base, Lou James Groover, Arizona; outfield, Zaire Hope, Los Angeles Dodgers; first Dodger we mentioned; outfielder, Ryan Waldschmidt of Arizona; and outfielder, Jared Thomas of Colorado. Our 5 pitchers, all left-handed pitchers here: Jackson Ferris with the Dodgers, Cash Mayfield with San Diego, Sean Sullivan with Colorado, and then Carson Wisenhunt and Greg Ferrone with San Francisco.
Beautiful.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Yeah.
All right. That's oh man, I don't even want to say what I was going to. Okay. Let's just move on to the AL West. Listening what just happened. I was working on not doing anything possibly inappropriate in stating we're moving from the NL West to the AL West. So, but let's streamline this as best we can, and just so that people don't wonder why we're throwing a 2-hour podcast out. Although, mind you, we've had 3 major topics tonight. The NL West, we're about to hit the AL West All-Star, prospect lineup. And we talked about actual futures game lineup. So we had real news to discuss tonight. But either way, the Prospects Power Hour is becoming the Prospects Power Marathon. So nothing we can do about it. But okay.
So, and we're going to start with, in my opinion, one of the deepest catching groups that we've dealt with so far. And for those who are wondering, AL West, we're talking Athletics, we're talking Houston Astros, Los Angeles Angels, Seattle Mariners, and Texas Rangers. Catchers, we have Harry Ford, Seattle; Malcolm Moore, Texas; Will Bush, who's really been a pop-up guy this year for the Houston Astros; Daniel Suzak with the Athletics; Walker Yannick of the Houston Astros; Connor Charping of Seattle; and Garrett, oh my lord, Guimede. It's a whole lot easier to type these names than to say them.
Exactly.
Of the Houston Astros. I really think this is kind of Ford without a problem, but there's a really high level of talent here. There's a lot of guys here that I went, oh, especially Bush. Bush caught my attention. I will say he's been completely off my radar this year, how well he has hit.
Yeah, and Malcolm Moore has been hurt, so we haven't got the stat line that might make him the second to a strong push to Ford instead of just it makes sense that it's Ford because Moore was a first round pick, looked at as a smart pick. I think he was 39th overall, something like that, with Texas. Regardless of where he was selected, he was supposed to be, or whatever, still should be a solid pick for them. It's just that he hasn't had enough time for us this year to go through it. Yeah, Houston's got 3 guys on this list, like 3 quality potential dudes here. This is kind of a Detroit situation in the works if they can keep rolling here.
I love 6'4", 235, big old boy behind the plate. Good chance he might move out from behind there. 16th rounder in 2023 out of junior college.
Beautiful, yeah.
And 11 dingers, 400 OBP, 515 slug this year in high A. And you're like, well,
he's at Asheville. So he's playing with Janik.
Yeah. Yep. And they're trading off. They're doing a lot of he'll play first and Janik will catch.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was wondering. If
Janik has been doing some DH.
Janik on I very quickly looked on Baseball Reference here, Ben, and it shows, which is not at all accurate or necessarily accurate to what they're actually doing. It shows them listed as potential positions, gives them 3: right field, third base, and of course catcher. So I don't know if that means that he's appeared in any games and they just throw the position up, kind of like Yahoo does. Oh, did he go out into right field? Like, no, he was shagging balls. Right field eligible.
No.
Either way,
he played those in college. He did play those in college.
So they're just dating back to what they've kind of stats from.
Yeah, this year in Asheville, he has only played catcher and DH. Now, what I will say, here's the big difference. Bush has a 5% caught stealing rate. 5, like 5 out of it's not good. Yannick is got a 36% rate. It's one of the best in the entire minors. So one of these two is a very likely catcher. The other one has a very good bat. But for a 16th rounder to pop up like that and still be playing half of his games behind the plate, that's impressive. Even if he ends up moving to first base, which in this division, by the way, could get him a lot of look because there's not really a shoot with no doubter for top end first baseman. But Ford, I think, is our top end guy here.
I agree. Yeah. And honorable mention. Yeah, Bush is fun. A lefty kind of coming out of nowhere. So we'll watch. We'll see what's up. Move on to first base here. We've got the Angels checking in with their first man of note, Ryan Nicholson. Seattle, Tyler Locklear. Texas, pop-up prospect, I think 2 years ago, Blaine Krim, who since that, everybody's just wondered why he's
got a major league debut this year. So
major league debut last year for Nico Cavadas, former Red Sox, now Angel.
Yep.
Brandon Malone of the Athletics, no, not the pitcher, who was with Arizona traded to Pittsburgh, something like that. And then
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Sam is the other Athletic here. This one, not star-studded.
No. And the main reason I have, and in fact, it happened to be the same week that I wrote up Greg Ferroni. I wrote up Nicholson, and let me kind of get to the end here and tell you what I wrote. Angels drafted and moved. Let's see here. He's sitting on breaking stuff better than he ever did in college. His natural power is generating high impact contact. I believe it's been a lot of doubles contact. I'm pulling it up here.
16
11
doubles,
home runs, 16 doubles. Yeah,
yep.
Pretty solid.
400 OBP.
That's in high A. Yep. I mean, just a really strong overall profile, but this is an older guy because he played 4 full years of college. Actually, he got an exemption for a 5th. So he played 5 years of college before he got drafted. And the Angels are, for whatever reason, actually letting him earn his way up the system, which is so rare for them. They normally push guys, especially college guys, beyond what they ever should be. But I put him first just because looking at his line, he could have a very, very high floor, but I think, Locklear, I'm surprised that he hasn't been back to the majors this year yet.
Especially with Seattle having struggles at times. Yeah, I mean, Rowdy Talese being up until like Luke Raley was gone a lot longer than I think they had originally thought.
Yeah,
and they didn't let Locklear do it. Yeah, you know what, Ben, I'm sold on Nicholson here. Just more of he's in the right direction, and I love the whole 10th round pick last year. And lefty.
That's
right?
the other
lefty
end of
first
things.
Baseman, lefty bat.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm good with that. All right, then we get to move to second, and this is a top heavy, but a really good top heavy. Michael Arroyo of Seattle, Christian Moore, who's now in the majors, but with the Angels, and Bryce Matthews of the Astros are your top end guys. But then you also have Colby Halter with the Athletics, Brock Rodden with Seattle, and Antonis Macias with Texas. I don't think that any of those the second trio is really in consideration here, but all having good years, and one of those things where get to know the name, look it up, and when we get back together and talk about this in the off season, this is going to be something we end up probably mentioning, one of those guys with a little more intrigue. I
wanted to promote a name, Ben, an unlisted name, and I honestly didn't know where to put him. But that's because I hate how the Astros do this. And I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, I think. Shea Whitcomb. I
didn't put him on
baseman. But I understand why. Because where do you put a guy who's leading minor leagues in home runs before he gets called up and then just sits on the bench with the Astros and doesn't get playing time? I don't know where to put him. Maybe he's just one of the guys who, because of his organization, he's not going to be able to be mentioned, or sorry, not rostered on our team. But I do want to remind everyone out there that he is a huge power bat, and he's not some 27-year-old guy who's finally getting it together. He's a solid guy, like drafted in 2020.
Yeah,
worked his way up, kind of looked like an heir apparent. I know Ty, when we were doing dingers, he really liked him and thought he was developing well. But I don't know what's up with Houston here. So he kind of like default would be second base eligible for your fantasy there.
It could be. I was just going to look this up here. He's this year in AAA. Actually, second base is the least. Well, okay, he has played a little bit of shortstop, but second base and shortstop, he's totaled 10 games that he's played more than that at each of the corner infield and corner outfield spots. Yeah. So he's kind of been, a dozen games at first, 11 games at third, a dozen in left, and 13 in right in the minors. He played more at second once he got to the majors, but I
wouldn't mind him getting traded to a Tampa Bay. I know that's what had to happen. I could see them
doing something with that.
Yeah, he's got the multi-position eligibility, but he also has the power that it should be something to get you in the lineup. Either way, So I'll say Christian Moore because I like the fact that not that Arroyo couldn't be the guy long term. Same with Matthews, but disliking Houston's aura at the moment for some of these types of guys. And Christian Moore being part of the succession of, you were drafted last year, you're coming up and you're gonna be our guy, and they're succeeding. I think to me it's more. I guess, geez, that's two Angels. This is dangerous. I'll have to be careful. Sell me on somebody else, Ben. Sell me away from Moore.
Well, unfortunately, I think Arroyo is, when we do this in the offseason, I think Arroyo is that guy. Okay. For one, because Moore is not going to be eligible anymore. But what I have wanted to see with Michael Arroyo, he is finally getting, well, I won't say finally, because he is only 20, but he's getting to do now, which is go up to AA. And we get to see what he can do in AA. He is obviously way too good of a hitter for A ball. That is just
right.
He has been in the last couple of years. It's been very obvious that this guy is more advanced than A ball pitchers. Now that he's got to actually work through a little bit of breaking stuff and guys who can throw a fastball in location rather than getting a fastball over, which a lot of times means a middle fastball. It's going to be a little different for him. And what I will say, his AA introduction, he's played 6 games, 6-2 walk to strikeout rate. Very good for him to start off that way. 333, 452, 542 in AA. Boy, that's a pretty line for your first week of AA ball.
And a home run. He's got 16 on the year. Okay, Arroyo. Yeah. I'm changing my vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think by the end of the year he'll definitely be that guy, and we won't even question it. I think Uncle Ted's going to cry that we didn't choose Matthews, but that's a whole other deal. So,
well, I think the Angels
he is
are
very big on Bryce Matthews.
They're building players who are going to be good players and fine for fantasy. But Arroyo. Oh man, Jerry's team, I should say, hits with some high-end young talent over and over through that tenure in Seattle. Now, I know it hasn't all come up and blah, blah, blah in the trades and whatever, but like they consistently seem to be able to have names.
And this is the position where the next position we talk about here is where they do it. And that's really the reason Arroyo is a second baseman, is because of their depth at shortstop. He just made the transition to second last year, Arroyo did. So he's now a full-time second baseman this year, but previously he had been a shortstop first and then eventually transitioned last year, and now he's a full-time second baseman because Cole Young's a much better shortstop, and he's probably a second baseman.
Right. Well, these guys, Carmelo was the shortstop draft. Was that right? He was drafted as shortstop and then moved to the outfield, or was he outfield?
I think he might have been announced as an outfielder, but I think he was a high school shortstop, which is one of those things where everybody's a shortstop in high school.
Yeah, very true.
Or a center fielder.
Right.
So let's get to shortstop.
Yeah,
this is a pretty loaded position. Sebastian Walcott I have listed first here. That's probably, I went through guys who are prospect rating, and Sebastian Walcott was the top one. I pulled up a fantasy based one, and they had Felon Celestin of Seattle ahead of Colt Emerson of Seattle, which I thought was interesting. Okay. But Devin Fitzgerald from Texas is a 24 draftee who's really a high interest type of guy. We talked about him earlier. Joshua Lugo was kind of the guy in the international market a couple years ago with the Angels, and he's another rare guy that they're kind of letting progress. Shotaro Mori, I was just pulling him up. I don't know that he has pitched at all this year. He did not. He signed as a two-way guy, yeah. And I think that there was something where they wanted him to see how he could do hitting before they unleashed him pitching. And he's got a 443 OBP in complex ball. I think he's figuring some things out. Caden Powell with Houston, Joshua Kuroda Grauer with the Athletics, and Chad Stevens with the Angels. I think really from Maury on up, this is high-end raw talent. Caden Powell is a guy who I can see, and you can, he kind of fits a Houston mold of production over raw talent, and that they tend to get a lot of those guys in their system. But that's kind of your dividing line there, is he is producing fairly well, but probably not the raw talent of the guys ahead of him. So what say you, Mr. Robbie?
Like, I don't like it, but it's got to be Walcott. Because that's just the thing of all the categories and all the things. Like I'd love to say Emerson as well, but I think the struggle's real when you get to Seattle. You don't step in and slug away or hit away or whatever you want to
Mhm.
say. Young's going through that now of your professional player, your stat line isn't fantasy, sprinkles. Whatever.
Mhm.
Pick the word that makes sense for you. It's hard, right? And I feel like in Seattle, it is also hard. So both of these guys, Celestine and Emerson, to me, take a knockback. And Walcott is the heir apparent. So let's put him in our fantasy lineup and make people happy. Make people in those 10 and 12 team leagues happy that they've got Walcott in that NA spot on their Yahoo roster.
So what I am really impressed with him this year, yeah, it's not power that's overwhelming you, which I think that is frustrating to some people right now. As much as he puts on a show in batting practice, I think they were expecting more out of him. But he's 19 in Double-A, and he dropped his strikeout rate 5% this year. It's 21%. He was hit about a 26% guy last year. That's really impressive.
Certainly.
Especially with his raw tools. So yeah, let's plug that in and then make a quick move to third base, which I think should take us about a half a second because it sucks behind number one.
We third base options with the Athletics, Tommy White. Then we got Cody Freeman with Texas, Louis Suspel with Seattle, Ben Goebel with Suspel, Ben Goebel with
Gobble.
the Angels. Is it Gobble?
I don't know. I was going with Gobble, but I was like, man, that could be fun.
Or Gobble, whatever. And with the Angels, and then Carter Dory. Oh my God,
Dory.
Yeah, Dorighi with Seattle. Regardless, it's Tommy White. And that's it. And it's good because I know a lot of people were saying that Tommy White was likely to, well, they weren't all saying it, but there was talk of Tommy White not necessarily being able to become a professional of note. And so far, so good. So good for him, right?
Yes. And slimmed down. He kind of took the comments that were pre-draft to heart, and he has really done a nice job of leaning down his body. He's playing very well at third. And it's translated he always has been able to hit. That's never been an issue. This is Tommy Tanks as a freshman, set on all kinds of records with, NC State before he went to LSU and was excellent. So now we get to move to the outfield. And this is, to me, a really interesting discussion for about 5 players.
Okay.
Maybe. But
so
I think Lázaro Montes is number 1, and that's not even I think that's no problem. And then I really personally would say Colby Thomas is number 2, and that's not a problem. I did put Johnny Farmelo ahead of him. I went through prospect rankings and found him there, and I was like, oh well, yeah, that's an impressive one. All right, he's ranked ahead of Colby in most of those, so we should probably put him there. Nelson Rada was the youngest guy at Double-A last year, and he returned there this year, and it shows. He is getting on base. He's using his speed. He looks like he could be a legit, top of the order type of hitter for the Angels. And last year, he just looked like he fell on his face hard. But then Ty Pete with Seattle, Henry Bolt with the Athletics, Joseph Sullivan of Houston, Carlos Jimenez with Seattle, Pedro Pineda with the Athletics, Jorge Ruiz with the Angels, Spencer Packard of the Mariners, Zach Cole of Houston, Kellen Strom of the Rangers, Nate Nankiel of the Athletics, Jared Sundstrom, Seattle, Keith Jones, Texas. I love easy names like that. Lucas Spence of Houston, Dylan Dreiling of Texas, Victor Labrada, Seattle, Maxton Martin of Texas, Curtis Washington, Seattle. That sounds like a 70s pinch runner is what that sounds like.
No.
And then Drew Brutcher of Houston. So
Brutcher's a glue guy. I'm sure of it. Name alone.
Yeah.
Good clubhouse guy.
But I could see an argument for really kind of any of the top 5 guys or so.
Yep.
There as working in the 2 and 3 spots. But like I said, I personally like Colby Thomas quite a bit. I would probably put him 2. I don't know what you would think there.
So Okay, I want to make sure that I articulate myself properly here. In 2020, when there was the pandemic, a lot of
Mhm.
people had a lot of time on their hands. I dove very deep into the J2 class and Seattle, and Victor Labrada was a guy that what I had read about him and then tried to find, of course, the YouTube videos. I want to see these guys swing. I don't want to take somebody else's opinion.
Yep.
You guys should all be doing that yourselves out there listening. We're giving suggestions. We make suggestions, you make decisions.
Mhm.
I thought this seems like a guy who could be not just a stolen base guy. He doesn't seem to have crazy contact, but he does have OBP ability. And I drafted him in a league and held him for a couple of years and got rid of him last year. And that was getting rid of him because there was seemingly nowhere else for him to go. He had 49 stolen bases last year, 10 home runs between A and AA, and he's 24. So I was like, okay, it's not really coming together. Now he just got promoted to AAA, I believe, just because I only see 4 at bats here, plate appearances. But for the year, everyone, 295 average, but the big one here, a 408 OBP. So 43 walks to 48 strikeouts and 244 at bats. And
He already has as many walks as he did last year.
Yeah. And 31 stolen bases, which I did talk, that's the calling card for him. And the potential and logically you could say 10 home runs would be in that area. So he's a sleeper. He's not the guy. Colby Thomas is the guy. But this is a 25-year-old who's now at AAA. He's now young for the
Figured
age.
it out.
Yeah,
Yep.
it seems like he's going to become a cusp guy now. He's not owned anywhere in any leagues. So you could go and quietly pick him up depending on how the rest of this year goes. He's a Cuban guy, so he's likely 32, but it states he's 25. So he might be more of a...
He is
like
5'8" is generous.
Yes. And he's not thin. He's like a thick guy, but he
thick.
moves.
Yeah.
So I would just say put him on your watch list, everybody out there. That's Victor Labrada, Labrada. He is a potential 2026 kind of dude that might be able to do some sort of pop. The minor league stats have looked good. It now looks like Seattle's going to move him up to AAA. So this could be a guy. I don't think this is a Rule 5 either. This isn't that kind of guy.
No.
Probably a minor league free agent after this year.
Probably, yeah, I would say so. The guy on here that I think folks should get to know, just because I have a feeling he is going to be someone we are talking heavily about as a trade guy either this summer or next summer, and that's Joseph Sullivan with the Astros. 14 homers and 27 steals with Asheville this year so far. Low batting average, but a .416 on base. This is like the Loperfido combination. He's going to end up having a really nice statistical years and then be the centerpiece because people are going to start to know who the heck he is. He's going to be the centerpiece of them bringing in what they need to make a playoff run and turn into nothing wherever he ends up.
I was going to say the fans in Toronto we're thinking, remember last year, everybody was like, that trade was such a ripoff for Houston. And now we're almost a year later, and I mean, go have a look.
Well,
go have a look
not.
at the lines and see what's up.
Jake Bloss has looked good when he's been healthy, but he has not been healthy. That's been the big issue for him.
And again, so you got Loperfido, who is kind of AAA organizational depth and potentially one guy out of that trade. And in return, the Blue Jays walked away from the potential of Kikuchi. I think it was the 3-for-1.
I don't remember who the third was. Why am I blanking on Will Wagner? Will Wagner was the other guy in that deal.
Yeah.
He's been kind of what you thought Will Wagner would be. I mean, nothing to write home about, but not a bad ball player either. So we're thinking Montes, Farmelo, and Thomas.
Agreed. Yes.
Okay. Well, then let's get into some pitching, because this is actually there's some fun pitching, and we're going to piss Uncle Ted off. So I have a feeling. I put Gage Jump up at the top. Certainly coming into the season, he was not that, but man, has he shown it this year now that he's healthy with the Athletics. Ryan Sloan, Seattle, Arangelo Ciente of Seattle, Luis Morales of the Athletics. So there's 4 guys, 2 teams represented in the top 4 that are kind of the no doubt to me starters. And then we get into some interesting discussion. Caden Dana, Miguel Lola of Houston, and then Jack Perkins of the Athletics are all guys in the upper minors who have been getting at least a major league interest. Lola, I don't think, has been up yet, but Perkins and Dana both have. Perkins is currently in a long relief role, has had 2 really nice 3-inning outings, but I don't know that starting for him might be a fun challenge. There's a whole lot of other names we could get into here.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I have Cole Drake about 10th. And I think Uncle Ted would probably be having a cow right now that he's not my number 1 pitcher in the AL West.
He's not even number 1 in his own organization. Come on.
I don't know that
You've
he is.
got Winston Santos there, and Santos is back pitching now.
What's his face? Who that got hurt? Alejandro Rosario.
He was my first round pick in a 30-team points league, and
much better
in spring training, and
he's just been hurt. So
yeah.
The one that was interesting to me. Have you looked up recently what Ryan Johnson has been doing since he got sent down? He made the opening day roster, and then they sent him down. And he's been really solid.
Are they stretching him out right now? I haven't looked, but I am in trade talk to acquire him in the league.
I am almost certain he's been starting the entire time.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no. Oh yeah. Yep. Sorry. I looked at his major league line. I was going to cry. 9 starts, 45 innings. So
okay.
Not tremendous length, but a 2.38 ERA, a 1.08 WHIP, 49 to 10 strikeout to walk. I mean, really solid pitching, but it is at high A. I will say that they didn't send him down to double A, which is a little interesting because you're willing to start the guy in your major league bullpen, but then not even put him in the upper minors to start. That's just kind of interesting to me. But the A's have a whole, and this is going to sound really racist, but it's not. The A's have a really deep Asian market. They have scouted the Asian pitching market heavily in the last few years, and they have some really solid pitchers that have come out of that. So the best, in my opinion, is Wei and Lin, but they have some other options that just I think about one every level from A ball on up. You can find
pick your guy. They're there.
Yeah, they're there. So
I'm trying to find Johnson here. So there, I'm wrapping up the other guys I was looking at here, because in the one league where he continues to come back to me in a Bybee deal, the guy is trying to trade me Johnson, Caden Dana, plus like some other things with Bybee being the return. And I'm not against the idea of it, but I just have some concerns, not like seeing that Johnson gets demoted was not the issue. It was, are they going to now make him into a starter? Which of course they should, right? Like that's the whole point of maxing out the value of the player. But I'm trying to see in his minor league stuff here, which I just seems because he's debuted, everything pops up on the major league side here. So because I love the potential. It's almost like, same with Dana. It's like it was too soon for him. And then Miguel Olulo, as with Houston, is the slow burn guy on this list. I mean, whatever. No matter what we do, one of these guys, like Trey Gregory, Alfred with the Angels, one of these guys will be better than whoever it is we pick most likely.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's just so many darn names here.
There's just really solid names at the back end of this, as far as young names that by the end of the year we could be looking like idiots. I mean, we talked about Treadwell. He's in kind of the middle of this group.
Right.
That he's a guy who could potentially do that. So, Barrett Kent hasn't been healthy, so you want to just leave Dana as the guy? You want to do Perkins instead?
I think let's go with Perkins. I like Clausen as well,
Mhm.
but I'm not picky. And when we go back
Yep.
over this, we can always kind of say, there we go. So yeah, we'll go
Okay,
with.
oops, we
go
made a
with
mistake.
Perkins.
So the division's rotation is going to be 2 teams. Seattle and the Athletics are going to comprise
Wow.
the entirety of that division's rotation. But that doesn't mean that it's not because there aren't good pitchers in other places. It's just those
Where
guys
we are
stick
right
out.
now in the season.
So,
There's a lot
yep.
of Athletics and Mariners. All right, let's go through it. Tell me what team you don't hear me mention. So the catcher is Seattle's Harry Ford. First base is the Angels' Ryan Nicholson. Second base is the Mariners' Michael Arroyo. Shortstop is Texas's Sebastian Walcott. The Athletics have the third baseman in Tommy White. Seattle is heading up the outfield with Lorenzo Montes and Yanni Farmelo, and then Colby Thomas of the A's rounding it out. Gage Jump is the ace. Ryan Sloan backing him up. Gerangelo Singente with Seattle. Then you've got Luis Morales, J2 guy, as well as Jack Perkins. No Houston Astros on this list.
And really, the only spot, well, you could make
Texas
an
has
argument for
shortstop.
Bryce Matthews at second base, but probably is the 5th starter. That's about the only spot where they were even really in strong consideration.
And
was
I have
the
noticed
starter spot
over the last, say, post-COVID 4 years, a lot of Houston pitchers that are doing well at the minors hit Double-A, Corpus Christi, I believe, and that's it. They kind of tap out. I haven't seen a lot of guys going up and through. Yeah. Guys, Miguel Ululo could be the one that skirts around it, but there are a few that I was watching in 2022 and picked up in a few leagues that all kind of quickly got to Double-A, and then that was it. That was as far as they go. Now, these are typically, or I shouldn't say typically, these guys have been shorter men and have not been able to continue to get the K per 9 rate, and then all of a sudden they're getting hit around a little harder here. So, but either way, on the positive side, the AL West, the NL West, they're picked, they're loaded. We now have all 6 of these divisional teams. If we find ourselves needing something fun and exciting to do between when these players that have yet to be drafted get drafted next month and when they sign, perhaps we can discuss these rosters and some of the guys that are on it that we think have done well since then.
So if we would have for instance, a dream scenario where all of these teams played one another, we could kind of talk about who would be the best and who we would favor, at least on paper.
The nice thing is 6 teams. We've got rotations with 5 pitchers. Everybody would get a shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could discuss who we think could do it in a best of 5 type series or in a round robin. Who would have the best record? I guess round robin would be the way to go.
So, all right. Well, that concludes our divisional roundup. Yeah, a nice short one. I'm going to try and make the outro quick so we can get out of here in less than 2 hours. So here we go. Ready, set. Thank you all for watching. Tomorrow. There you go. And folks, enjoy your family time this weekend if you are in the Americas or in the United States and celebrating Independence Day on July 4th. If you are not, if you are in the Canadian area,
it's tomorrow, baby.
Canada Day, yeah. So it's Independence this week that we're celebrating.
That's right.
And
together we'll celebrate.
Yes. Together we'll celebrate. Folks, I want to encourage you again, if you can, take some time, watch the mock draft. If you haven't yet, it's, I think it's something Robbie and I really enjoy doing together. And so far the views have been, it was tremendously well done. I mean, if you guys, I have a look here of our assets for the things that we use for videos and stuff on the show, and a significant portion of them are the on the clock things that he put together for all of us. That's amazing. He did excellent work. So before I get to 2 hours here, I'm going to cut this off quick. Thank you for watching. We will see you all again next week.